Why women secretly want the 69SX position, a motivational speech for men who want to truly understand female desire by Empower by Saisha. Let's begin with uncomfortable truth. All most men don't know how to truly please a woman. Not because they're incapable, but because they've been taught the wrong things. They chase performance, not presence. They focus on doing more, not feeling more. And they think intimacy is about conjuring, not connecting. But here's the reality most won't say out loud: women don't crave just a physical experience. They crave a spiritual one. They want to feel something real. They want to be taken, but not just by your body, by your depth, your devotion, your intention. Now let's talk about this infamous position, the Tune 69. For most, it's a taboo. For others, it's just something from a movie or a late night joke. But for those who understand the deeper language of desire, it holds something sacred. It's not just a position, it's a symbol. It's the ultimate mirror of mutual vulnerability, the invitation to give and receive at the same time, the surrender of ego and the birth of energetic equality. Women secretly want this not just for the act itself, but for what it represents: trust, devotion, surrender. In this position, there's no hierarchy, there's no leader or follower. There is only oneness. Two people, fully exposed, fully giving, full receiving at once. And that, brothers, is rare. Why is it rare? Because most men can't handle it. They want control, they want to perform, they want to finish, but they don't want to feel. They don't want to slow down, they don't want to be equally vulnerable. But women, they feel everything. They sense when you're present and when you're pretending. They know when you're with them and when you're in your head. They ache for a man who doesn't flinch in the face of her fire, who doesn't run when she gives all of herself, who can meet her breath for breath, heart to heart. And when a man shows up like that, she'll open in ways you've never imagined. That's why women secretly want the 69 position, because in its most elevated form, it reflects mutual reverence. It reflects a man who can give as deeply as he receives, and that is rare. It takes courage to hold her there. It takes masculine poise to be fully present while fully exposed. It takes strength to make her feel safe while giving up control. But when you do that, she transforms, she lets go, she melts. She gives you not just her body but her trust, her softness, her surrender. And here's the secret no one talks about: SX is not about mechanics, it's about energy. And the 69 position, at its core, is a sacred exchange of energy, an energetic loop of devotion flowing in both directions. But you can't fake that. You can't perform your way in her full surrender. You have to become the kind of man who earns it by being there, fully, without distraction, without pressure, without ego. Do you know what women secretly say? They say, I want to give everything to a man, but only if I feel safe enough to do so. Safe doesn't mean soft, it means present. It means unshakable. It means attuned. In the 69 position, you are both giving and receiving pleasure. And that scares many men, because they've been conditioned to be giver or the taker, but not both. They think strength means staying in control. But women, they feel strongest in the arms of a man who is unafraid to lose control with her, to breathe with her, to ride waves of ecstasy, not command them. That's why this position, when approached with intimacy rather than intensity, becomes sacred. It's not pornographic, it's poetic. It says, I see you, I feel you, I want all of you, and I'll give you all of me. That, my brothers, is rare. But let's go deeper. Why does a woman truly want this kind of experience? Because the modern world doesn't see her. She's either objectified or idealized, but rarely understood. In a culture that tells her to hide her pleasure, suppress her desire, and protect her heart, she's secretly longing for a space to let go, to be worshipped without being judged, to be free without fear, to be wild and soft at the same time. And that space is created not by the position, but by your presence. When you enter this moment with the energy of, I'm here for you, I honor you, I want to meet you, she blossoms. She starts to trust again, to feel again, to believe that she's not too much or not enough, but just right. You become a mirror for her radiance, and in turn, she reflects yours. The 69 position becomes a portal, not to just pleasure, but union. And here's the deeper truth: this position is a metaphor for balanced masculinity. For the man who can give without needing praise, for the man who can receive without guilt, for the man who can hold space without needing to dominate it. That's why women crave it but don't always say it, because they're waiting for a man who's not afraid of it. Not just the act, but what it symbolizes. Are you that man? Are you willing to stop performing and start feeling, to stop proving and start presence, to stop chasing pleasure and start creating connection? Because the greatest seduction is not how you touch her body, it's how you hold her soul. And when you do, you'll realize she didn't just want the position, and she wanted you. The you that isn't afraid of her desire, the you doesn't shrink from her power, The you that gives just as deeply as you receive. That's the real 69. That's the energetic truth behind the fantasy. And when you bring consciousness into that space, everything changes. She trusts you. She opens to you. She remembers herself through you. And you, brother, you rise. Because now you're not just a man who takes. You're a man who meets her at the edge of heaven and says, let's rise together. So let this not be a joke or a fantasy or a shameful desire. Let it be a reminder that the greatest form of power is not domination, it's devotion. And the deepest desire of a woman is not pleasure, it's presence. And when you bring the two together, you unlock something sacred, not just in her, but in yourself. So, to the man listening, be brave enough to feel, be grounded enough to give, be present enough to receive. Because when you dog, you won't just be the man she wants, you'll be the man she'll never forget. And that is the mark of a true lover. True intimacy is not about domination or submission. It's about balance. It's not about who's on top, who's in control, or who leads the experience. It's about meeting each other fully and equally, in a space where both feel empowered to give and safe to receive. That's what most people miss when they talk about intimacy. They make it a game of roles. But a woman doesn't want to be conquered. She wants to be understood. She wants to be felt. She wants to be met soul to soul. And that's exactly what the 69 symbolizes when approached with presence. Mutual connection, a mirrored vulnerability where both partners are emotionally and physically engaged. It's not just about sensation, it's about synchronization. Two bodies, two minds, two energies entwined, not battling for control but flowing in harmony. In this moment, there's no hierarchy, only reciprocity. Both people are giving, both are receiving, both are exposed, not just physically, but emotionally. It demands trust, it demands awareness, it demands attunement. That's what women secretly crave. Because in a world that constantly asks her to shrink, suppress, or sanitize her desires, she longs for a space where she can expand, where she can be fully expressed without fear of being judged, where she can give without being taken for granted, and where she can receive without feeling like she owes something in return. This is why the 69 isn't just a position, it's a symbol, a reflection of the emotional balance women deeply desire. It whispers to her nervous systeming, you are safe here. It tells her your pleasure matters just as much as his. And most importantly, it affirms this man sees me as his equal in intimacy. Not his subordinate, not his conquest, but his partner. And that, brothers, is rare. It takes a deeply rooted masculine presence to hold that space. A presence that doesn't feel threatened by a woman's desire, but honors it. A presence that doesn't retreat when she gives all of herself, but meets her there. When a man brings that kind of energy, she opens. Not because he forced her top, because she feels safe enough to let go. Balance creates safety. Safety creates surrender. Surrender creates intimacy. And it all begins when the man learns that real strength isn't about control. It's about harmony. So yes, women secretly desire this kind of intimate balance. Not because it's taboo or novel, but because, deep down, it's the rarest thing of all, a place where she can be fully herself and be met there with depth, love, and complete presence. At the heart of this desire is something far deeper than physical stimulation. It's the emotional hunger to be both worshipped and seen. Not worshipped in a superficial pedestal kind of way, but in a sacred, present way that says, I see your soul, not just your body. I revere your presence, your energy, your femininity, not just your curves. Every woman carries within her deep longing to be truly noticed, to be held without fear, to be touched without agenda, to be known without judgment. And in that longing lies a paradox. She wants to surrender, but only when she feels powerful in that surrender. She wants to give fully, but only when she feels seen in what she's giving. The 69 position, when approached with masculine presence and reverence, allows that paradox to be fulfilled. It becomes more than physical. It becomes a mirror that reflects her softness and her strength. A moment where she's not a receiver of pleasure alone, but a giver of it simultaneously. It's the perfect tension between vulnerability and power, and when held correctly, it liberates her. Because in that position, she is exposed. Yes, but she is also in control. She is giving. Yes, she is also receiving. She is vulnerable, but also empowered. And most importantly, she is safe. This shared space, this mutual experience creates something rare, a balance of control. Not control that is taken, but control that is shared. Not dominance imposed by one, but intimacy co-created by two. And this is exactly what so many women secretly long for. An experience where they are not objects, not spectators, not just recipients, but participants in the sacred dance of desire. A space where their expression is not only allowed, but celebrated. In this vulnerable position, a woman doesn't feel reduced. She feels expanded. She doesn't feel used. She feels chosen. She doesn't feel beneath. She feels equal. But make no mistake, she will never ask for this directly. Because what she craves isn't just the position, it's the intention behind it. She's watching to seeing, are you doing this for her or for yourself? Are you truly present or just performing? Are you honoring her body as a template or treating it like a tool? When you bring the right energy, the energy of worship, presence, depth, you open her heart, not just her body. You touch the parts of her that no hand can reach. You awaken the parts of her that have been waiting to be fully received. And when she feels that, she gives you everything, not just because you've turned her on, but because you've turned her soul toward you. And all of that starts not with pressure, not with technique, but with presence, with balance, with shared control, not imposed control. That's the secret, brother. That's the space where a woman transforms, not into something new, but into more of who she already is. And the man who gives her that, he's not just unforgettable, he's irreplaceable. When a man approaches intimacy with presence, with courage, and with a finely tuned attunement to a woman's body and emotions, something sacred happens. She lets go, not just of her clothes, not just of her guard, but of the invisible armor she wears every single day. Armor forged by past betrayals, emotional neglect, shallow encounters, and the constant pressure to be too much or not enough. It sheds the mask society forced her to wear. She softens, not because she's weak, but because she finally feels safe in her strength. She doesn't have to hold everything together in that moment. She doesn't hide to the fire of her desire or dim the depth of her feeling. She can just be. And that, for a woman, is one of the most intimate forms of freedom. Because you see, she doesn't just want the act. Any man can give her the act. She wants the experience. The kind of experience that bypasses the body and lands straight in her soul. She wants to be ravished by a man who doesn't flinch in the face of her intensity. A man who isn't overwhelmed by her emotions. A man who doesn't run when she shows him her true hunger. Not just for pleasure, but for depth. When a man shows that he is not afraid of her, not afraid of her fire, not afraid of her need, not afraid of her chaos or her craving, she relaxes, she opens, she gives. Because finally, she has found a place where she can stop protecting herself from being too much. She sees in him a rare thing, a man who can hold her, not just physically, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. He is not intimidated by her power, he honors it. He is not confused by her desire, he welcomes it. He is not shaken by her sensitivity. He respects it like sacred ground. And that is when she gives him everything, not because he demanded it, not because he earned it through tricks or pressure, but because he made her feel safe enough to surrender. And understand this, that kind of surrender is not weak. It is not passive. It is not her giving in. No, it is the ultimate expression of trust. When she gives you her full presence, her raw desire, her unguarded body and heart, she is saying, I choose you, not just to enter her, but to know her, not just to touch her, but to feel her, not just to see her body, but to witness her essence. That's what she's really waiting for. She wants to be met, not just taken. She wants to be mirrored, not just watched. She wants to be awakened, not just satisfied. And the man who brings presence instead of performance it, who brings depth instead of dominance, who brings attunement instead of agenda, he unlocks a level of intimacy that most men never even get close to. Because now, it's not just about pleasure, it's about transformation. She doesn't just feel aroused, she feels alive. She doesn't just feel touched, she feels chosen. She doesn't just feel satisfied, she feels seen. And that, my brother, is what she's been silently craving all along. She'll give you everything. Her body, her trust, her surrender. Not when you take it, but when you earn it with your energy. With your eyes that don't wander. With your hands that don't rush. With your breath that syncs with hers like a silent promise it. I'm here. All of me. For all of you. That's not just intimacy. That's alchemy.